My name is Camille Miller. I want to thank you all for joining us on the Respectful Divorce Podcast. And I want to take this time to welcome several members of the Three Rivers Practice Group in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. They are Dr. Deb Gilman, Derek Smith, and Dorothy O'Neill. So thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So let's start by talking about what is collaborative practice in general and the three roles that you all have in that practice.
Sure. Well, I'm happy to start. Again, this is Dorothy O'Neill. I happen to be the current president of what was formerly known as the Collaborative Law Association of Southwestern Pennsylvania. That was established back in 2006 by a group of wonderful professionals from all of the disciplinaries that are involved in collaborative divorce, who came together and said, we really need to move forward with a process, an out-of-court process that is better suited for families going through separation and divorce. So we give them all the credit all the time, and we still have a lot of our founding members with us to this day. So currently, as president, and Derek is vice president of our organization right now, we actually came into contact with the Crouch Group, and the Crouch Group was introduced to us by Dr. Deb Gilman, who is also here. And we had a wonderful workshop, and I, to this day, will say it's one of the best workshops I've attended on collaborative work and how to market your collaborative practices. And through that, overwhelmingly, the feedback we got was that we maybe needed to change our name a little bit, because the Collaborative Law Association of Southwestern Pennsylvania doesn't always just roll off the tongue very easily, right? And there was some questions as to, does that truly mean that we're a divorce group? Like, what is it that we're doing? And so we ended up changing our name just this year to the Three Rivers Collaborative Divorce Practice Group. And so we are kind of rolling that out this year, and we're really excited to kind of hit the ground running with that new name and also be involved in Divorce with Respect Week. To that end, like the work that we do, and I'm sure Dr. Deb and Derek can jump in, the collaborative work that we do is just so fulfilling in so many ways, but we are really inviting families into a room that have professionals that are set up to help them and assist them through these very difficult decisions in the best way we know how. So from a legal perspective, I happen to be one of the family law attorneys that does this type of work. I have my client sitting next to me. I am considered their legal advocate. I am looking out for their best legal interests, but that doesn't mean that I want to fight to the other party, or that I'm not interested in them also being okay after the divorce. So we do have this ability to kind of brainstorm together and think big picture in the collaborative world, as opposed to just battling it out like we would normally do in the courtroom as family law attorneys. And that, to me, has been the most fulfilling part of all of this, is that we can sit down, we brainstorm, the parties really don't feel like the rug's being pulled out from under them, that some judge or fact finder is making all of the decisions for them. They have a hand in it, and we're guiding them in that process.
One of the things that my husband, who is a marketing professional, says is the difference, in his opinion, between interest-based versus position-based is interest-based. It's the rising tide floats all boats. One of the things that is different in collaborative is, contrary to the litigation model, which there's a zero-sum game, somebody wins, somebody loses on every single point, this is different. We look at their goals and we help them figure out holistically, if you want to call it that, how everybody can do better. And that may seem counterintuitive in a divorce, but I'm sure you all have seen it every day. So Derek and Dr. Deb, would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so what I like to think as the collaborative coach and child specialist, those are the two roles that I often play on the team. What really drew me to the collaborative process is exactly what you just said, Camille. I mean, it's really thinking about harm reduction and helping people understand that how they divorce matters just as much as the legal outcome. And so when we're thinking about, helping families through this really important time, we're working together as a team to reduce the unnecessary emotional, financial, and relational harm that often happens in litigation, because we're helping to give families accurate information about their choices. And so we're really focused on solutions. And we have a very structured process that walks the clients through, rather than what happens sometimes in court that feels chaotic and doesn't really feel like the clients understand. And they really get a lot more choices, and they're along the journey with us. We're supporting them really in their journey to find the solutions rather than blame as we move forward. And to me, that is so important because it's child-centered instead of child damaging. And so as the coach, I work with the team in coordination with the attorneys, in coordination with the child specialist, in coordination with the financial specialist, because we are working together to help the clients stay engaged, to help them stay grounded, invested, and also advocated for in the way that really reaches their goals and helps them make decisions that are going to build to their future.
And to that point, to all three of you, one of the misconceptions that I think I hear from people sometimes is they can't really understand how we can be advocating, in the case of Dorothy and me as the attorneys, and still be in this open conversation. So can you all describe what that looks like and how that's a little bit different than the litigation process? And the other thing I wanted to say also to that is, for me, the secret sauce is laying the information on the clients at the same time. So they're not hearing one thing from one lawyer in an isolated or silo situation and the other party hearing from their lawyer and then getting misunderstandings as a result of that information, which may be very similar. It's just maybe communicated slightly differently. And from that, there can just be this cascade of bad feelings. So if you all wouldn't mind addressing that.
I think the most interesting and unique thing about this process is the fact that there's neutrals in the room. Dr. Deb is a neutral. She's not the advocate for either party. She's an advocate for the process and for the entire family unit. I'm a financial neutral. I'm a CPA. I run a public accounting practice, but I do this as part of being a financial professional for the process. So I'm not here looking at husband's desire or on the husband's side or the spouse's side or this or that. I'm only here to help get this process done correctly to the best ability of the entire family. And I think that's what makes it unique. I'm sure Attorney O'Neill would say, if she goes to court, she's going to want a financial professional who's on her side when she's presenting in court. Or a mental health professional who's on her side or regards to the family's needs. We're not. We're on the side of the process. We're here to make sure that this gets done. As a financial professional, I always say there's really two main parts of any divorcing family. It's the child or family issues, which Dr. Deb has so eloquently talked about, and the financial issues, right, which I deal with. And so it allows the process to move forward in a neutral environment, and we can move forward without sort of the he said, she said that comes out a lot of time in the litigated process.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think as the coach, working to help not just the participants, but the team stay regulated, future focused, and having functional conversations while the clients are making hard decisions about divorce and parenting. And so the coach is that provides kind of like the boundaries, or we call it the safe container, where we are not turning the process into litigation. We're not turning the process into therapy, but we're focusing on workable solutions and helping the team also regulate the emotional temperature in the room, helping the clients regulate that emotional temperature in the room. But I do think it's important to note that Dorothy's and all the lawyers' jobs still remain advocacy. So I think Dorothy can speak to that and like what that looks like in the room.
Yeah, and I have heard other attorneys talk about, can you still be a legal advocate if you're really involved in collaborative? And I think absolutely. I mean, the reality is your attention is just focused in just a slightly different way. So in the litigation world, when we're, going to court on a regular basis, we have to pay a lot of attention to the intricate rules that we have to follow. So we have to pay attention to procedural rules, evidentiary rules. We have to make sure our timelines are on point. We can't miss deadlines. So there's a lot of focus for the benefit of our client on courtroom procedures. All of that can go out the window to some degree in the collaborative process, so our focus can be more so on the clients. So we are still looking at the law, interpreting the law for our clients. We're advising them in accordance with the law, but we get to do a little bit more than that. We get to actually listen to them. We get to pay attention to emotions, which sometimes the court just frankly doesn't have the time to be able to give to those emotions. And those are so important in a divorce. I mean, there's no way around it that there's going to be emotions involved with a divorce, but the court, because of the volume of cases that they have on every given day, they only have so much time to give to these families. So in collaborative, we can actually sit down and pay attention to some of the emotional challenges that they might be facing. Of course, we're still advising them on the law, but because we don't have to worry about those other intricate little rules and deadlines, we can just say, okay, here's a decision that the two of you have to make. Let's walk through it together. Let's weigh some options. Let's look at the pros and cons. And then the two of you get a voice in this to say what's most important to you. And the one thing I would add, and I'm sure Deb and Derek can jump in on this, my favorite part of the collaborative practice is the first meeting. And I say this all the time, but basically, like, you know, when you walk into that very first meeting and you have your full team there and we are all enthusiastic, ready to help a family, and you see the participants come in and they're nervous and full of fear and full of anxiety, but then they start kind of listening to us and seeing how we're going to like work together for the benefit of them as a whole, you can almost visually see the temperature start lowering in the room and that fear kind of dissipating and the anxiousness kind of going away. And they're even realizing like, okay, like the rug is not going to be pulled out, right? We are going to like set a plan in place. We're going to talk about a plan, and only then are we going to execute on the plan. So that I think really helps them calm down a lot so they can focus on, okay, what do we really want to do? How do we want to do this? And I think that's the best part of collaborative is it's right there at that very first meeting.
Well, and I would say even on top of that, in that first meeting, Dorothy, is that we immediately get into issues and needs. We have a part of our meeting is called status quo. And so these people are coming in here going, well, what are we going to do about this? Or what are we going to do about paying the cost? Or how are we going to deal with Johnny's pickup from school every single time? And we as a team can immediately start attacking those issues. We don't have to wait for the court to make a decision. We don't have to wait for a meeting with the child specialist because the child specialist is right in the room. We don't have to wait for a meeting with the accountant to get the tax return because we have that information. So, I mean, it's such the process can move forward because we don't have these delays in dealing with everyone. And that puts the participants so much more at ease to know that they're having their issues and their items dealt with so quickly. I think it's just, it just makes everyone's life feel so much better in moving forward, because we all know divorce is a horrible thing to have to go to for any family. And to be able to, help them immediately right off the bat, it's so justified. And so the feelings, it's just amazing. So
one of the misconceptions that I think people have and that you all have indirectly addressed is there are procedural rules that are locked down in the rules of civil procedure that is how courts are run. But we do still have within this process agendas, scheduled meetings, budgets, spreadsheets. Can you all talk a little bit about that? And a parenting plan. So those things we do have a structure that we stick to, and that's part of our job. I know you all are super familiar with that.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that we do in the collaborative process is, again, regulating that emotional temperature. We know that divorce hijacks your nervous system. So what the team wants to do is recognize the emotional triggers. That's a lot of stuff that the coach does in advance to inform the attorneys, inform the financial professional what might be some of the triggers or those hot button topics that might come up. So we can plan for that, slow things down before reactions turn into explosions, and we can support that emotional regulation. And we do that through things like pacing. We don't have to go with timelines that other people set. We can help help set the timeline and do the pacing that really meets the family where they are at. I can practice having these hard conversations with the clients before the meetings, help them reframe reactive language, learn how to express their boundaries or their hopes without it escalating or maybe turning into finger pointing. And the team also can be prepared for shifting their clients or noticing when some of these things come up as well. So we don't get stuck in circular arguments and vague accusations, which again is helpful to have the agendas for. So everybody is prepared. No one comes in blindsided. They're not going to be cross-examined on these things. They know in advance we're talking about these topics so they can prepare. Not only prepare with the coach if they need some of that emotion to be translated into usable information, but they can prepare with the financial professional if they need some help with budgets or understanding some of the things that are in their financial wheelhouse for their family. And they also prepare with their attorneys in advance, similar like they would do to prepare for court, except they're preparing in a way to say, how can we, express ourselves in a way that actually supports moving the process forward so decisions can actually be made?
One of the ways that I have thought of it is we don't, or Dr. Deb and people such as Dr. Deb and Derek, you all don't prevent the emotions from being there. That wouldn't be productive. But you manage them so that they don't spew out the sides in an uncontrolled manner. And when we started having, many years ago, started having the full team in Denton, I remember the lawyer that first introduced us to the coach, he said, it's like they have pixie dust. When they're in the room, everything works better for everybody. And that really is a magic that you all have and bring to the table.
Well, I think it really allows us to do our jobs. When we have a mental health professional in the room, or financial professional, the attorneys in the room, we get to do our jobs. We don't have to do others' jobs. And being able to do it, I always say I'm really good at what I'm good at, and I'm really good at what I'm not. I always joke to clients that I'm really good at their accounting for their restaurants, but they do not want me in the kitchen cooking their stuff, right? And I think that's the beauty of collaborative. It allows us to do what we do best. And Deb is an amazing mental health professional. She helps us so much moving along the process. I couldn't do what Deb does because I'm not good at it. And I'm a really good financial professional, and I can really do what I can do because of that, because of the freedom that Dorothy's a great attorney and can handle the attorney side from when she's dealing with her clients. I mean, just lets us all do what we're best at. And it works so well because of that.
I was just going to say, I sometimes tell the clients when we start that I want them to metaphorically think of us as the chain link of our arms around them, and then they can relax and do this very hard work. I'm sorry, Dr. Deb, I interrupted you.
That's okay. I was just going to piggyback off of what Derek was saying. Because we work so well as a team, and we really lean on the skills that we bring and the education and the experience. We are all very valuable in working in not just simple cases or cases where people feel like, oh, we have to just get along and everything has to be kumbaya. We actually do probably our best work in complex cases where maybe families have had entrenched conflict, where maybe they don't communicate well or haven't been able to express their needs effectively to one another. Maybe there's a history of trauma or, some extreme circumstance in the family. And sometimes even when we have knowledge imbalances or some power imbalances at the table, those are okay for us to work with because we have the power of the team. So those are the things that really, the teamwork is what makes all of it possible, and it can reduce all of those things. In real time, people are practicing communication, learning new ways of communication with each other. They're practicing emotional regulation in the room, learning new ways to regulate emotion, and that can only serve to help them as individuals outside of the process. And if they have children, they're going to be even better parents and fantastic co-parents as a result of going through this, even if they have some hard stuff in their relationship.
As Dorothy said earlier, courts are just not able because they don't have time and, frankly, the skill set that comes with all the different professionals. You all are the best at what you do, and that all comes together. And in my experience, Unlike court, the case in court may be over for the moment, but the issues are rarely resolved. Sometimes the wounds are even deeper, and sometimes they last a lifetime. Whereas with what you all do, not only are the immediate issues resolved, but like what Dr. Deb says, they are learning tools that will hopefully enable them never to need to have lawyers in their lives ever again, because they're able to resolve conflict going forward as a small team of this team.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you all are about to embark on Divorce with Respect Week. Would you tell our listening audience about what that is and why we should all be excited about that?
Well, this is our first year being involved with Divorce with Respect Week. And so we have joined the California practice group that initiated Divorce with Respect Week. We've been working with the Crouch group on how to, dive into this week, since we're first timers here. And basically, just our organization as a whole is bringing this initiative to Pennsylvania. I've been hearing that the Pennsylvania Bar Association is also getting involved in Divorce with Respect Week. So this really might be truly a statewide initiative, which is really exciting for all of us. It is March 1st through the 8th, I believe, of this year. And so basically in the entire week, the intention is to really spread the word about collaborative divorce. And in doing so, we have many of our professionals in our organization, as well as statewide, signing up to volunteer to give at least 3 30-minute free consultations to anybody who would want to hear about what collaborative divorce is and whether or not it's a fit for their family moving forward. So this is service that we're doing to the community to spread the word, give options available to people that might not otherwise know that this option exists, and really kind of dive into the details of it for them. We're also working with some media outlets to try to spread the word. I know we've been in contact with the mayor about it a little bit. So we are really trying to kind of push the word out and spread this initiative. And I know that we are one small piece of it, right? Obviously, this initiated in California. This is nationwide. It might even be worldwide. But we are happy to be a part of it. We're so excited to be a part of it. And we're really hoping that it's a success for this year.
And how does the public engage the Divorce with Respect Week options?
So there is a website that anybody can find, which is called divorcewithrespectweek.com. And in that website, you will be able to search for practitioners within your state. So you can go to Pennsylvania and you will be able to see all of the professionals who have signed up to give these free 30-minute consultations to learn more about the collaborative process. So we'll all be listed there. You can contact us. And like I said, we can give you more information on the collaborative process and determine whether it's a good fit for you.
Yeah, and I would tell you that people, time and time again, don't really understand the collaborative process. They don't hear about the collaborative process. So if you are in the state of trying to think about divorce, please go onto that website, talk to one of these professionals, because what you will learn in that process will change your mind about where you're going and what's happening, and will ultimately be such a better outcome for your family. And that's probably one of the biggest struggles we have as collaborative professionals, is getting the word out and letting people know about this process, because once people learn about it, they're always on board.
And I would add on to that to maybe talk to more than one professional. So maybe talk to a coach, a child specialist, a financial professional, an attorney, because we want to help you understand how you divorce matters just as much as maybe what you get at the end of the divorce. So we can talk about how this is child-centered. We can give you some information, and you'll be able to see, maybe just even from those conversations, how does a team actually interact? And wow, like talking to all these people, I get this different view, but I can see how I'm supported in this process through these 3 different professionals, lenses as they approach the collaborative process.
One of the catch-22s and dilemmas that I think we feel across the country and the world where collaborative is available is that many people go into it because of the attribute of it provides privacy in a way that litigation never can. And yet, those are the very people that don't go out on social media and do YouTubes about what a great experience they had because the whole purpose of going into it was they wanted their privacy. So because of that, that is a good statement about our process, that it does provide privacy, but it has been a challenge that we have had to help the public know we're there, because it isn't something people talk about a lot because they want to maintain their privacy. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you all for joining us today on the Respectful Divorce podcast. You've done a wonderful job of explaining not only about your practice group and the collaborative process, but Divorce with Respect Week. We all look forward to that week in March, where hopefully we connect with many, many families and individuals and help them learn more about the divorce process, the collaborative divorce process, and how to divorce with respect. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Divorce with Respect Week is coming up March 1st through 8th, 2026. During Divorce with Respect Week, you can talk with lawyers, divorce coaches, divorce financial experts for free to learn more about the divorce process and your options for divorce. Simply go to divorcewithrespectweek.com to find professionals near you. Once again, Divorce with Respect Week, March 1st through 8th. For more information, that's divorcewithrespectweek.com. I'm Tim Crouch for the Respectful Divorce Podcast, reminding you that collaborative divorce is a better way to untie the knot.